Dun, 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 dun.
Well, when you title your movie like this, you can definitely guarantee the viewing count is going to skyrocket, which it has on Marvista Entertainment's YouTube channel. This is their highest viewed movie trailer to date, and it didn't take that long for them to get the ranking up that high. It's already perked a lot of viewers on their channel and other channels as well that also upload YouTube trailers. I don't think the counts are as high as this one is. I'm sure if you total them up, they are. I haven't done that yet, but they're all in a higher tier. But as of July 25th, 2020, 9.2 million views on this trailer. And again, it's been a couple days since the 25th, so it might have ranked up even more. It makes sense. It's easily explainable when you think about the title of this film, which is, and I quote, "Sleeping with my student." I saw it, like, I was going through the list, I'm like, oh, this is, looking through all the trailers I have to cover that I've missed, and I'm like, I get to this one. There are just some titles you don't want to read out loud. And this is certainly one of them, but that's the official title. There is another one that they use. It's an original title. We'll get to that in a little bit later, but this is the official title that they chose, which makes sense. But you think of a title like this, it just brings up a long list of newspaper headlines and newspaper stories that we wish, I'm sure, were all fake news. Or not even necessarily that they're fake news, that they just didn't happen. But we do live in a very imperfect world. Bad things happen here. And unfortunately, things like this are of real life. And it seems like a lot of people, especially the characters in this film, haven't really seen the What Would You Do segment that aired a couple years ago, where the similar situation was played out in the public. People did not take this type of scenario too lightly. They performed this outright, and there were people, I think it was in a restaurant, of course you got everybody there who was like, oh, but this is what's happening, right? But again, you think of a reaction like that, it would probably make most potential perps reconsider what they're about to do. But to this day, stories like this, horrifically, are still coming out. And, there's several hundreds, I'm sure. But just a few days ago, in fact, CBS LA reported a 40-year-old male teacher who works, I think, at Chadsworth Chaminade Middle School. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But they were arrested for horrible behavior with a minor, but the title would suggest here. Like, it's really bad. I'll have the story linked below in the search box if you guys want to read it in full. That's all I'm going to mention about it. I really don't want to get too much into this, but that's just, again, one of, several hundreds of headlines, I'm sure, that over the past few years have come out about horrible people who really give teachers a very bad image. But this is what's happening in this movie. Well, not exactly this movie, but that's at least the first impression you get. I'm sure for any parent, that would be a horrible nightmare. Now, luckily with this project, I'm saying this as much for your sanity as I am for me right now, we can all breathe a sigh of relief because this project isn't necessarily going the way that we think it would based on that title. So let's take a breather for a minute. Okay, the student is 18, so this makes it a little easier to watch, right? Even though the student-teacher dynamic in this case with this project is still a bit off-putting considering the age gap and just the roles that they happen to be in, the fact that he is of legal age does make it a bit easier to watch the trailer, but still that title, that's like, it's a hard one to get over. With titles, you hear this very early on when you're, especially in the educational sphere when you're working on, I'm sure this applies to, when you think about, well, obviously, when we're thinking about movie titles, when you're doing marketing stuff, but when you write papers, too, you hear all the time, I think they might talk about this, like, in middle school, elementary, maybe elementary, like in higher grades, but, I'm sure in middle school, high school, college, you want to find a title that provides a holistic look to your project, but still attracts an audience and may be engaging or provocative. This is perhaps the most eye-catching title for a film that I've ever seen. I mean, it stands out. No wonder the view count is so high. Like, again, perks a lot of eyes. But is this project strong enough apart from the title? That's the question here. The synopsis I found has put the project in a similar vein to other Marvista projects that I'm familiar with, that kind of focus on revenge schemes and bad relationships. There's been a lot of these at this point. But maybe it could speak out for itself, even though it might seem a bit conventional considering what they've done and beyond the title. Maybe it does have an element to it that we certainly remember just beyond that title. I did feel the IMDb synopsis when I went to look up for it. I'm like, should I read that one or should I read a different one? I'm going to read the Marvista Entertainment YouTube channel synopsis instead because it's a bit less spoilery. So here you go. This is what they have to say about the film. A single mother's vacation fling with an 18-year-old turns deadly when his plans of revenge come to life. So as I said, the kid is 18, makes it a bit more approachable in my case. Like, am I even going to be able to cover this? I think I can. So, I am trying to keep it PG, but at the same time, like, you have to qualify things a bit for a movie like this. And again, to your benefit and mine, this does seem to be going on a different path than what the title would suggest. I do find it interesting. Switching gears here slightly, and I think I got this from the IMDb synopsis, that in the case of this particular film, the roles that we would presume apply to this title are switched. So in some of the news stories I've seen, like the one I brought up previously, it's the adult that's the perpetrator. But in that context, of course, the context here, I'm assuming doesn't apply. But just broadly speaking, the student-teacher dynamic, it's reversed here. So in this case with this film, it's the kid and the teacher is the victim. And the conflict here is rooted in some sinister vengeance and revenge mentality. So it's an interesting twist, but still the question remains, does the actual film stand apart from that title? Because the title might be engaging and really disturbing, but the movie's got to speak for itself, and, just let's stop calling it with the original title. Deadly Vengeance. Let's think of it that way. That was the original title. So, clearly, I've indicated on the video with the thumbnail and everything that there is another title for this film. I addressed it in the introduction, so whichever one you want to remember it by, there you go. I'm going to refer to it from now on as Deadly Vengeance. But again, between the two titles, I'm sure Marvista looked at it and like, well, Deadly Vengeance, no, it's not going to get enough attraction. I know what will work, and boy, did it ever. So let's check it out. Again, 9.2 million views. They certainly have bragging rights. Let's see what the film has to offer. As always, we're going to watch this first, and we'll talk about it more, make condensed reviews plus watching the video together. Hopefully it doesn't go too over the top. Some of these romance films can certainly tend to do that. Still, this one, oh, jeez. It's still slightly uncomfortable. I mean, hopefully that won't linger too long. Okay, let's take a look.
To Girls Weekend.
Let's talk about your man situation.
It's the furthest thing from my mind.
They're going to have a lot to talk about. It's going to be one interesting conversation.
Sorry, didn't mean to scare you.
It's okay.
I'm Ian.
I'm Kathy.
It's nice to meet you, Kathy. You want to join me?
I don't normally.
What? Just two adults that are attracted to each other. And whatever happens.
You're like really on the cusp, though, of becoming an adult from a kid.
Before 8 a.m.
Thank you.
This is a fresh start. New school, new friends for both of us.
Have you seen the new girl? She's the principal's daughter.
Hey, what's your name?
Uh-oh.
Bree.
We should hang out more. Us new kids have to stick together.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, did meet a cute guy.
Uh-oh. I remember... Well, of course I remember you.
I have a feeling we have a lot in common.
I would prefer it if you didn't
Bit
spend
too
any
far
time
for
with
my
her.
You want
taste.
me to stay away from the one person who's gone out of their way to be nice to me?
Look.
Yeah, because I know something about him that you don't.
I made a big mistake at the hotel that night. And I don't know why, but he seems to be targeting Bree. Stay away from my daughter.
You want to lay your cards on the table?
Oh, jeez.
Officer, please escort him off this campus.
You're gonna regret
Bit too far on the content,
Did Bree go
Marvista.
home early? She's marked as
I mean, the
absent.
title's uncomfortable enough, but...
your daughter, Kathy?
He's got Bree.
You don't have to do this.
I want to protect you. You're my little sister. Your mother had an affair with my father. Arno died. They got into a car crash and they were arguing about your mom.
No, you're lying.
You destroyed our lives.
I am so sorry, Ian.
If things could have been so different,
Let her go.
time to make you shut up.
Bit spoilery again, Marvista. I'm probably not going to watch that one. It goes beyond the awkwardness of what that title centers around, but I would say the romance, or the revenge romance story, it goes a bit too far. Like, I don't need the visual aid all the time. And I thought there were certain things, like, I don't know. These are TV films. And I would have thought there would be some things that wouldn't have made the final cut. I know for TV shows sometimes, I don't know, like sometimes, there's certain things you can play in a film that you can't always play on a television because you don't know exactly who's watching. And for, I'm sure, a lot of people out there, they might watch with their family. Well, this is going to be an awkward family watch if that's the case. This is going to require a lot of conversation afterwards. Yeah, I'm personally probably going to back off of it. It goes beyond the awkwardness of watching exactly what's taking place here, even though I'm sure, you know, the actors, they're playing these different ages, I'm sure. They could very well be the same age, I would guess, too. But it's still, it's just a bit too much for my liking. I don't need to see everything play out. And quite frankly, I think the ending was a bit spoilery. I do, again, see really where the revenge is coming out here. And it definitely goes deep. I just didn't need to see everything. So, I'm probably going to pass on Deadly Vengeance. But it was certainly interesting one to check out. I'm glad I don't have to check it out again. So hopefully, you know, I haven't tended to watch too many. I think this is the first time I ever felt so awkward watching a movie titled like that. But I don't know. Maybe there'll be another title in the future that will be even more awkward than that one. But what do you guys think about Deadly Vengeance? Feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget all the good stuff, like, subscribe, and that bell. And of course, we'll have more Marvista movies to look at in the future. And for right now, at least, none of them are that bad to read off. So they'll be okay. But until those next few times, or maybe I'll actually end up saying, hey, I'm going to watch the film. Again, I think this one just goes a bit over the top with the romance stuff. But until whatever film we get to watch together next, whether it is Marvista or something else entirely, I will see you guys then. But until that point, thanks for watching this video. I love you guys. Remember yourselves, your fellow man. God bless. And peace.